This is You've Already Been Hacked, recorded on 23 May 2026. Welcome back to You've Already Been Hacked. Get into it a little bit quickly, but this was a short week for me, Cowboy. How about you?
No, it was a normal 7 days that I'm used to, but,
Normal 7
I
days.
did I did get to travel and do some teaching, so that's fun. I can't quite talk about it just yet, but I'm
Sure.
hoping by the next show, I'll be able to throw out what I got to do, but it was content I developed, so
And it was
that's
new,
always
right? This
fun.
was this was fresh. This was the first go of it without getting into the specifics yet. This was
Brand spanking new content, new labs, new everything. First time with, external participants. Got really great feedback about what we expected, or at least what I expected. And so looking forward to kind of getting it mainstreamed and hopefully sold and then taking it to the next level. So
very
um,
nice. Well, good
always
luck.
exciting.
Good
Thank
luck.
you. How was your week?
Got the application that is going to be available commercially into beta and sent out the NDAs to the initial beta testers. So that's a good heavy milestone. Although I will say this already without getting into specifics, and I'm not going to give away what the name of the application is yet because that's how you lose everything. Um,
Mhm.
the name of the application will already change because within the last X months that we've been working on it, multiple, I'll call in the um market for this application, multiple SaaS products have popped up that are all using the same exact name.
Oh no.
But they're all SaaS and they're all subscription based. So I think we still have a viable product. And that's where I'll leave that.
Wondrous. Well, it's
Yes.
easy to come up with a new name, so that's
Well, if
small
you, but we
potatoes.
got to get the domains. That's the main problem. You gotta
Mm,
buy that real estate, right? If you don't have the real
right.
estate, then it's a problem. But it is what it is, and we will get there.
Oh,
We will get there. But
well, that's an
on
exciting step. Congratulations.
I'm happy. I mean, the fact that we're in testing beta, outside of development means that it finally worked well enough on at least two of the three primary platforms that I was able to say go forth and break and let me know, right? Like that sort of thing. Like that was great. That was a really good feeling to say like I've reached it's more I think we're at a tweaking stage now as opposed to actually make it work stage, which is fantastic. And I will say this again, I think I said this last week or the week before, web-based applications are wondrously easy by comparison to making a full fat application that runs, local. And anyone that says different doesn't really know what they're talking about, especially if you're trying to do something that's complex, and especially if you're trying to do something complex on Windows, 'cause DLLs, man, DLLs will kill you.
Hmm.
They will kill you, and they will grind you into the ground trying to get those things to work properly. And that's been my experience.
Yeah, but as an offensive cyber guy, I sure love to jump into them.
Don't we all? All right, let's jump into this week's news. In our top story, the Netherlands seizes 800 servers, arrests 2 in a major takedown of a pro-Russian cyber attack infrastructure. On
Hold
May
on, hold on. Are we
okay.
are we starting with a positive story?
Yeah, we're gonna
I don't
hit.
even
Well, you know
recognize
what?
this show
It
anymore.
was a short week. We go a little positive. It was a short week. On May 18th, the Dutch financial crime investigators (FIOD) executed a coordinated raid across multiple locations, arresting 2 suspects and seizing 800 servers, laptops, mobile phones, and administrative records. Ah, the
Wow.
records. The operation targeted a bulletproof web
Wow.
hosting infrastructure that had been enabling pro-Russian cyber attacks, disinformation campaigns, and interference operations against European governments. The 2 suspects, Joseph Z, owner of Work Titans BV, and which was an Estland-based hosting company, and Andre N, founder of Mir Hosting in Almere, which provided the high-capacity internet connectivity, routing traffic into Europe, internet exchanges through Amsterdam and Frankfurt. So they found the 2 guys that owned the 2 I don't wanna call them front companies, but let's say illicit operations maybe, quotes, TBD, allegedly, all those caveats, they got the guys that were responsible for being the gateway, for all the activity to happen, so that's fantastic.
Awesome. Awesome.
The original hosting firm, which is funny that it's named this, but this is legit, Stark Industries, was founded on February 10th, 2022, just 2 weeks before Russia's invasion of the Ukraine. The EU
Iron Man, no.
Yes, let's hope not, and please, RDJ, we're on your side, truly. Whatever
That's right.
whatever whatever form or character you take, in the future of the MCU franchise, whether it be, wearing the golden red or the green and silver. Um, the EU formally sanctioned Stark Industries on May 20th, 2025, after determining it facilitated pro-Russian cyber attacks against European countries. Rather than shutting down, the operators rebranded. Stark Industries was migrated to Work Titans BV, also operating as the all capital dot hosting. Nice. Uh, a newly created Dutch entity, investigators alleged, was established specifically to circumvent EU sanctions. Mere Hosting served as the transport layer, providing co-location services and connecting the servers to major internet exchanges. The raids hit data centers in Dronten, and these are, I'm so sorry, everybody. Schiphol, Rivik, with additional searches at business premises in Eschled and Alameda. Confidential information obtained by Volksfront, which is the source for this particular story, shows companies' networks topped the list of infrastructure used by pro-Russian cyber attacks against Danish government organizations during November's 2025 municipal elections. The pro-Russian hacktivist group No Name 057 16 was specifically linked by Danish authorities to destructive DDoS attacks routed through this infrastructure. This matters.
Sorry, we have a correction that should be distributed denial of
Distributed.
service attacks.
Distributed, not destructive. Okay,
Sorry,
well
sorry, everybody.
it could, DDoSs can be destructive depending on what they do, right?
Right,
So,
right.
it's fair, but distributed, thank you. This matters because it's one of the largest single seizure operations against cyber-criminal hosting infrastructure in Europe's history.
Ooh,
800 servers is not a small operation. This was a dedicated bulletproof hosting platform catering to state aligned threat actors. The fact that the operator simply rebranded after being sanctioned showed how easily hostile infrastructure can resurface under new corporate names. For defenders, this highlights the ongoing challenge of tracking sanction evasion in hosting and co location space. Cowboy?
yeah, I mean, wow, 800 servers. And the rebranding and redistributing and renaming, right? That's they're taking stuff from the old mob tricks there,
Mm
but
hmm. Mm hmm.
super easy, especially in today's world, right? It's funny, No Name 57. They do actually crowdsourcing vice traditional sort of hacktivist group, which they are a hacktivist group. Um, Volunteer hacktivists download custom applications called DDoSia, turning their centralized computers into a decentralized attack network. So, kind of interesting, a little different, which we like to highlight on the show.
Mm hmm. Mm hmm.
But congratulations, Danish authorities. Hopefully, we've made a small dent in the ever prolific
Yeah.
uh, cyber criminal world.
So here's my pessimistic thought. Right? They say 800 servers. Okay, were those?
Out of how many?
Well, that's one. Were they physical servers,
Mm,
virtual servers? Because in the digital sock, we have nearly 300 items that are hosted inside the digital sock, and I can tell you, I do not have 300 pieces of hardware, but they are independent,
sure.
right? So you tell me, right? So it is interesting. I mean, taking down 800 nodes, whether physical or virtual, is significant. And if that infrastructure was not replicatable immediately, that could pose a significant dent for sure. Because anyone that's going to attempt to fill that void is going to have to fill that infrastructure somehow. So that's going to take a little bit of time at a minimum.
And they did raid multiple data centers.
Yeah.
and there's pictures of not 800 servers, but there's a lot of hardware there. So I likely a combination of both.
Likely a combination of both. Yeah. Well, maybe they could send us some of that RAM, or and some of
I,
I don't want. I would say give us the storage too, but I don't want what they got on the storage. I just want the RAM. I
yeah,
just want at this
please
point.
please don't destroy it.
I had taken the small ones out today, and we went through a Best Buy, right, and I just kind of moseyed
Mm.
down the RAM aisle just to kind of see, one, was there anything there, and there was, but two, the prices are really crazy.
Did you have
So for a
did you have a good
32.
cry?
No, because I already have the RAM they were selling already in my uh Windows rig.
Mm.
And I have a 64 gigabytes of RAM in my Windows rig. It has the RGB on it because, why not have a little RGB? DDR5, um a 32 gig kit, which is two sticks at Best Buy, at least here in the States right now, is $550 retail. So that was an appreciating asset. I had no idea. Not that I knew it was going up, but I didn't know it went up that much. I could sell that and make 3, 4 times the amount I spent on it when I bought those sticks 2 years ago. It's
Are these
crazy.
things going through the Strait of Hormuz, or what's going on here? It's
Seriously,
crazy
right?
what's
Like,
happening.
well, it's our friends in the AI
I
data
mean,
centers that are just sucking it all up, right? Although
right,
I
right.
saw some
Supply and
whispers
demand.
I saw some whispers recently that China is starting to flood the market with their RAM. Like, specifically, there's a couple new Chinese RAM manufacturers that have come up. And if that takes hold, RAM prices are going to collapse because there's just going to be a glut on the market of competing RAM, and China's going to likely do what China does, which is going to sell it super cheap by comparison, right? And they're going to
Mhm.
undercut the market, and they're going to take all that space, and that's exactly what's going to happen.
Well, good, because I will not be buying that
Sure.
brand.
You know what?
What could go wrong?
At this point, I might, if someone can. I'm sure there'll be third party verification to see if it's good and safe and all that. And if it is, uh, you know, RAM prices are too expensive right now. They're ridiculous. So do what you got to
Facts.
do. All right, in our next story, Microsoft warns of two actively exploited Defender Zero days, and the patches are rolling out.
Yikes.
On May 21st, Microsoft confirmed two zero-day vulnerabilities in Windows Defender are being actively exploited in the wild and began rolling out emergency patches. Both vulnerabilities were added to Sys's KEV catalog, triggering a binding operational directive requiring federal agencies to patch within 2 weeks. That means by June 3rd. The first one, and Cowboy, you'll be a little disappointed, it's only got a CVSS score of 7.8, is CVE
Weak. Weeks.
2026.
No, stop the story. Stop the story.
No, no,
Yeah,
we're going
move
forward.
on.
CVE 2026 41091. This is a privilege escalation in Microsoft's malware protection engine, specifically in the mpengine.dll version 1.1 26030 3008 and earlier. The flaw stems from improper link resolution before file access. Attackers can exploit this quote unquote link following vulnerability to escalate from low privileged user to system access, which effectively
Yikes.
turns Defender into the attack surface itself. That's the first one. The second one is CVE 2026 45498, which is a denial of service in Microsoft Defender's anti malware platform, specifically versions 4.18, 26030, 3011, and earlier. This also impacts the System Center endpoint protection on 2012 and 2012 R2 and security essentials. There are patched versions already out. Microsoft says auto update is enabled by default, but manual verification for these specific updates is recommended. The patched versions are respectively for the malware protection engine 1.1.26040.8 and for the anti-malware platform 4.18.26040.7. Both vulnerabilities overlap with exploits disclosed by the Nightmare Eclipse researcher, aka Chaotic Eclipse, last month, specifically the Red Sun and Undefend tools. This matters because Microsoft Defender is ubiquitous. Just about like I don't know anyone that doesn't run Defender at this point. I'm sure there is still a community that uses a third party tool, but historically, for a number of years now, the adage has been Defender has been good enough. Well, now Defender is the whole. So take that for what that's worth. Cowboy,
I was trying hard not to laugh really loud during your segment there. I should call my cousin, who I just found out is now a president there over there at Microsoft, and be like,
nice.
"The heck are you guys doing?" But
Oh, we're not done with Microsoft tonight, but continue.
yeah, I mean, so um, in the cybersecurity world, we talk a lot about getting root and getting admin. And I think we don't talk enough about system. I don't think most people realize that there's actually something above administrator in the Windows environment, and that is system. And if your system, you are Windows,
Yeah.
right? Um, there's nothing higher than that. You are complete, unlimited access and privileges. So a little surprised the CVE is not higher than 7.8. That to me, I don't know all the ins and outs of what goes into making the numbers, right? Like I know the general stuff, but I don't know all the ins and outs. But I feel going from low privilege user to system is is bigger than a 7.8. But again, there's more to it that I don't know. But yikes on that one. So yeah, you never want that kind of vulnerability, in your main defensive point,
No,
in
you
your main
don't.
defensive software.
I mean, postulating just like you are, right? Not knowing exactly how they got to their score. Maybe it's because it is an accessory piece of software and it's not the core operating system, although that's debatable. I know everyone take a breath. I understand Windows is very tightly integrated, blah, blah, blah. Okay, we've all said it. Now back off. But maybe because it's not core OS, that's why it may have gotten a lower score. That's my just tea leaf reading. That's no knowledge. That's no anything. That's just a guess. But I would suspect it's something like that.
Yeah, I'm looking at it, like attack vectors local, complexity is low, privilege required low, no user interaction, high on the CIA triad. My guess is that because the exploit code maturity is unproven, that maybe
Maybe.
that's bringing it down a notch, but it also says it's being taken advantage of in the wild. So again, I don't know, craziness,
Do your
but
updates.
yeah,
Patch,
patch.
patch, patch. All right. As I said, though, we are not done with Microsoft just yet, Cowboy.
Speak of the devil.
In our next story, Microsoft rushes emergency mitigations for Yellow Key, which is the BitLocker bypass 0 day. Now, this happened a little while ago. I don't know if we talked about it. I don't know if it made the cut for our show, but yeah, BitLocker keys were compromised, which I thought was kind of funny because that's horrible that if you're using BitLocker to encrypt and now it's compromised, that's really not doing anything for you. And it's been pretty solid for a long time. So, on
Mhm.
May 20th, Microsoft published emergency mitigation guidance for publicly disclosed BitLocker bypass vulnerability named YellowKey. This is CVE 2026 45585, which is even only a CVSS score of 6.8. We're not even hitting nines this week, Cowboy. No
Craziness.
official patch has been released. Organizations must apply manual WinRE remediation steps. Microsoft rated this threat as exploitation more likely. Yellow Key targets the Windows recovery environment or the Window RE environment. Attackers inject a malicious binary, which is at least as of this research, auto fstx.exe into the boot execute registry value under HTLM control set 001 control session manager. The payload executes before the OS fully loads, bypassing the pre-boot authentication entirely. Because Window RE environments operate outside the primary OS, conventional endpoint security tools cannot intercept this execution. The attack requires physical access to the device. That's probably why it's a little bit lower. But that's exactly the threat model for lost or stolen enterprise laptops. The exploit code was published to GitHub by Nightmare Eclipse. There's our friend again, significantly lowering the technical barrier for less sophisticated threat actors. The Windows systems that are affected are Windows 11. I don't have a specific version number, so let's just say it's probably blanket across Windows Server 2022, Windows Server 2025. The manual process for those that are interested, and you should look this up to make sure you have all the details. We're just hitting it real quick. Is you're going to mount Windows RE. You're going to load the WinRE registry Hive. You're going to remove that auto FXTX exe from the boot execute in that mounted Hive. You're going to unload that registry. You're going to unload and commit it, and then you're going to reestablish BitLocker trust. And there is a little bit more to all the steps there. So please go to Microsoft, go to a verified source, and get your instructions appropriately. Microsoft strongly recommends upgrading from TPM only to TPN plus PIN protection. This matters because BitLocker is the default full disk encryption for Windows Enterprise deployments. Yellow Key completely undermines it for TPM only configurations. The vast majority of which is probably the vast majority of Windows-based enterprise laptops. If a laptop is stolen, that encryption that's supposed to protect your data can be bypassed quickly. Cowboy?
Yeah, I was definitely like, what is going on with our numbers today? Until I read, you need manual
Yeah.
or in-person
Local,
access,
you gotta
right?
have direct
Uh,
access, yeah.
Yeah, so that certainly uh, creates a unique twist to this, which makes sense of why it's lower. Because again, the access required is significant, but it does uh, take advantage of WinRE's handling of that boot execute registry value within your HKLM control set 001 control session manager. So, um, as usual, there's a lot of information out about where it handles and where to look in your mitigation process. So, yeah, if you're using it, if you don't feel good about your physical security, I think raise the flag on this one a little bit higher in your priority of what to get after. If you're sitting in a skiff or you're sitting in a you know armed guard lock and key area, maybe you don't have to worry about it quite so much. Really, your insider threat is more of the issue there. But boy, Microsoft taking it in the face today,
Yeah,
but it
definitely,
happens.
definitely. Now, let's talk a little bit about our friend Nightmare Eclipse. Nightmare Eclipse
Yeah,
is claimed to be a sole. This is sort of our third story, but I think it's important that we mention this because I don't know if it's a sole security researcher. It could be multiple operating on one name. I'm not certain, right? So take this
yeah.
for the
It's
grain of salt that it is worth.
it's a
Okay.
pseudonym, right? Like it is
Yeah.
a name to hide who's doing it.
Yes. So we're going to say a quote unquote sole security researcher operating under the alias of Nightmare Eclipse, but also under the aliases of Chaotic Eclipse and Dead Eclipse, has been on a 6-week retaliatory in quotes campaign against Microsoft, releasing 6 Windows zero-day exploits targeting core defensive components. The actor claims Microsoft violated an agreement and left them homeless. Wow. And has deliberately weaponized these vulnerabilities by publishing working exploit code on GitHub immediately after Patch Tuesday. So
So
here,
wait, is he sitting under a bridge with his computer?
maybe Starbucks is a wonderful place for Wi-Fi. I don't know.
I guess.
And no shade towards Starbucks, just using them as the example, and no sponsorship. Um, so here are the 6 exploits that we know that Nightmare Eclipse has released, right? So they've released Blue Hammer, which was CVE 2026 33825. Windows Defender local privilege escalation to system. We just talked about that. They released Red Sun, which was silently patched, which is an alternative Defender LPE via a different code path. They released Undefend, which is unpatched, which is a Defender disruption tool and blocks and updates detections while making the system appear healthy. They released Yellow Key, which we just talked about earlier. They released Green Plasma, which is a partial Windows LPE targeting broader internals. It's not yet a turnkey operation, but we'll see what happens. Mini Plasma is the last one, which is an LPE targeting cloud files mini filter driver. Um, confirmed working on fully patched Windows 11 installs as of early May. So this guy's been busy, or at least he knew this stuff was already vulnerable and kind of just, squirted some things out real quick, or was waiting for a reason to do it. Um, our friends, or at least we have I would say a rather quote unquote potentially senior friend, no names, at Huntress. Huntress Labs
Mhm.
confirmed these tools are being used in real world intrusions, which actively linked to Russian geolocated infrastructure. The exploits have been chained with ransomware deployment and all have been added to CISA's KEV catalog. The actor has explicitly warned of escalating activity, threatening to release remote code execution exploits and a quote unquote big surprise for the June patch Tuesday. They also claimed a dead man switch, which will automatically release additional exploits if triggered.
Holy cow.
Wow. This matters because this is not your typical threat actor. This could be a single individual, it could be more than one. It claims to be one. And they have systematically compromised Microsoft's core security stack, which includes Defender, BitLocker, kernel subsystems, and the exploits are actively being used now by ransomware groups. The threat is ongoing, and the actor has promised more. Ensure that your April 2026 patch Tuesdays are up to date, and be on the lookout for your May Patch Tuesday. If that's already happened, be on the lookout for your June Patch
Mhm.
Tuesday, and what could happen around then. Just brace, brace, brace. Really, Cowboy, your thoughts?
Yeah, yeah, I think anyone with a lot of Windows in their infrastructure, needs to have the eye on the ball. In June, I mean, right, so if you're not tracking, what I'm guessing a dead man switch is if they figure out who this is and arrest him or her, right, then it's gonna go off on its own kinda thing.
Yeah,
So, I was before you got to that, I was thinking through this, and I'm like, they've gotta have a good idea of who this is, you know what I mean? There's only, uh, I'm just gonna go out on a limb and say I'm sure there's not, 10,000 employees who feel this type of grievance, the whole "left me
yeah,
homeless with nothing" thing, right? Like, they gotta have 5 people at most, right, in mind of who this could be, and then depending on their job at the company, you can even I'm sure quickly cycle it down.
sure.
So, I gotta believe they're gonna find this person fairly quick, hopefully. But whatever this dead man switch is, it's gonna make for an exciting podcast for us
Yes,
that week, and hopefully
if it
it's
happens, I mean,
yeah, hopefully it's not as terrifying as they claim. Right? Sometimes you talk a big talk in hopes of uh, dissuading folks from coming after you or whatnot, but um, I hope not. I hope for the best here.
yeah. At Cowboy, I would coin your catchphrase for the end, but I think that's what everyone's gonna have to do when you say it this week, especially.
Everyone
Um,
stay frosty on
yeah,
Windows.
there you go. Yeah, real frost. Stay ice cold
Right.
frosty
Ice
on
cold.
Windows
Yeah.
for the next few weeks for sure.
My ex-wife's heart level.
Oh my god, Cowboy.
She doesn't listen to this podcast. It's fine. It's fine.
Oh my god. Okay, moving on. In our last story, we're just gonna roll right past that. We're not even gonna address it. In our last story, Foxconn confirms nitrogen ransomware attack and 8 terabytes stolen, including network topology maps for major tech firms. Foxconn, the world's largest electronic manufacturer and major supplier to Apple, confirmed on May 12th that some of its North American factories were hit by a cyber attack. The Nitrogen ransomware group claimed responsibility, asserting they stole 8 terabytes of data, comprising over 11 million files. The attack caused temporary operation disruptions, forcing some staff to use pen and paper or work remotely.
Ew, pen and
Uh,
paper.
I know, right? Affected.
1992.
There were the affected facilities were Mount Pleasant, Wisconsin, and Houston, Texas. The Nitrogen Group claimed the stolen data includes confidential instructions, internal project documentation, and technical drawings tied to projects for Intel, Apple, Google, Dell, and Nvidia. Verified leaked samples include financial documents from the Houston facility, circuit board layouts, temperature sensor data, integrated circuit documentation, network topology maps for AMD, Intel, and Google projects. Let's see. Apple Insider is reporting the leaked samples contain no Apple circuit design, diagrams, product, development docs, or QC data. The Mount Pleasant facility primarily manufactures TVs and data servers, not Apple devices. So maybe Apple got away with like a real nothing burger for them, but everybody else praise, praise, praise. Nitrogen ransomware is built on leaked source code from the Conti builder and has suspected links to the Black Cat ecosystem. They operate a double extortion model, encrypting victim data and threatening public publications. Security analyst Mark Henderson has warned, quote, the real concern is that Google and Intel's network topologies have been stolen. Because this is an architectural map of operational infrastructure, attackers could use this data to identify vulnerabilities in data centers around the world, unquote. This matters because this is the third major ransomware attack against Foxconn, highlighting persistent supply chain security vulnerabilities. The exposure of network topology maps for major tech firms creates a roadmap for future targeted attacks. Even if the claims that Apple were not attacked are exaggerated or lost data, the Intel and Google infrastructure maps are verified as stolen, which is kind of nightmare level scary.
Mm.
If you are a customer or a partner of Foxconn, assess potential supply chain exposures, review your network architecture documentation. You should know it better than what's out there now. And review access controls. Topology maps are high value targets. So maybe it's time to see if that topology is really what you want to keep. Monitor threat, if you can even change it in the first place. Monitor threat intelligence for any campaigns referencing Foxconn stolen data. Evaluate your own supply chain security posture, especially around manufacturing partners. Cowboy?
There's lots to talk about here. For those that don't know, double extortion ransomware means they don't just encrypt. Most traditional ransomware will just encrypt the files on the system. Double extortion ransomware is where they steal the files and encrypt them and say, if you don't pay us, not only will you not get your files back, but we're going to leak them on the internet. So kind of double bang for that buck there. Nitrogen is written, I'm sorry, used for Black Hat, right? Which you mentioned. So they are a group also known as that ALPVH or Noberus, a computer ransomware family written in Rust, which is just a general purpose programming language. Um, they operate ransomware as a service because we've talked before about how lucrative that's becoming. But what I'm seeing is that we don't really know who they are. Department of State has a $10 million reward for leads that can identify or locate who these ransomware gang leaders are. So um, it's been a minute since we've had a group like that we've talked about where we don't have any idea who they are, where they are. Brought to you, by the way, these were the Colonial Pipeline folks.
Oh, that's a
So
callback right there.
yeah, like remember that all remember that big deal. So they've been around for a minute, and while FBI has taken down their website for a website claiming to disrupt them, right? They still really don't know who they are or where they are, and they don't just hit the U.S. They hit Hong Kong. They hit uh, oh Scattered Spiders, an affiliate of the
Mm,
ALPVH, this group, right? Then they hit MGM and everything else. So they're well connected all over the map, and apparently we don't have a good finger on who they are. So um, interesting.
very. Wow, all the way back to Colonial Pipeline. I didn't realize that. I must have forgotten that. Or put it out of my mind from
It's
trauma. Who knows?
it's one of my favorite attacks just
Oh
because
no,
it was an outside the box way of taking a major pipeline
I
down.
know.
And
I remember the Colonial Pipeline attack. I
yeah.
just didn't realize the correlation of the group. That's all. That's
Mm.
the part that I had forgotten about. Well, Cowboy, what else do you got for us tonight?
All right. 2 0 days in Defender. Somewhere an attacker just upgraded from maybe to absolutely. Because nothing says irony like exploiting the software designed to detect exploits.
Wow.
I'm Cyber Cowboy. Stay frosty and stay especially frosty in June.
Well said. I am the professor of CyberRisk. That's all the news for this week, and we'll talk again soon.
If you like this podcast, share it with your colleagues and friends. Your support is how we are able to continue to make this content. Thank you.